the card. Here you go. I'd like to call.
DJ?
I'd like to call to order today's meeting, the Nevada Department of Transportation, for Monday, July 12th, 2021 to order. If I could ask the clerk to take the roll, please.
Good morning. Governor Steve Sisolak.
Here.
Lieutenant Governor Kay Marshall. Controller Catherine Byrne. Member Virginia Valentine.
Here.
Member Judson Kalb.
Here.
Member Stephen Esquada.
Here.
Governor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, public comment. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item that is on today's agenda. Items on the agenda, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. We'll start down here in Las Vegas. Do we have any public comment in Las Vegas?
I have no public.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment in Carson City?
Governor, we have no public comment in Carson City.
Great. Is this virtual? Do we have any?
We could have, and we received no virtual comments.
We have no virtual public comment. Okay, moving on to item number 3, consideration approval of the June 14th, 2021 NDOT meeting minutes. Do we have a motion on the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, the director's report.
Thank you, Governor. DJ, if you could bring up my slides and move to the next slide already. As I always do, I'm going to start with safety. And DJ, next slide. And we'd want to start first by expressing our thanks to the board and so many members of the public who extended well wishes to our team members involved in last month's shooting on State Route 278. We are pleased to see that our team member who was shot was able to leave the hospital shortly after the incident and is finishing his recovery at home. Now on to our network. Statewide traffic fatalities are up 32% this year over last year. And if you recall, last year was a bad year as well. In part, this is due to significant increases in some of our rural counties. But I should note that of those 180 lives lost so far on our roads this year, Clark County's additional contribution compared to last year is 30 lives. Across the state, pedestrian fatalities have increased 15%. Motorcyclist fatalities are up 32% in that same time frame. And last month, 4 bicyclists and 1 in Clark and 1 in Wash County also lost their lives in June. The primary causes of traffic fatalities again this month were impairment and speeding. And I would like to share a story of a crash that occurred last month, and while not fatal, it did affect many lives. A driver traveling at twice the posted speed limit caused a multi-vehicle crash near Las Vegas, near the Strip last month. The man at the wheel was driving a U-Haul truck east on Harmon Avenue near Cobalt when his vehicle crossed into the westbound lanes. Witnesses told the police the vehicle swerved into oncoming traffic to go around a slower moving vehicle on Harmon. The U-Haul truck struck a Hyundai Elantra, causing the rear end of the truck to then hit a second car. 3 occupants in the Hyundai were taken to UMC, 1 requiring emergency surgery. The U-Haul driver told police he had taken drugs before the crash and was traveling 70 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. So just a reminder, slow down. No matter the cause for your rush, it is not worth the risk of the time delay for being pulled over, or even worse, the risk of losing your life or taking someone else's. All right, a little bit on the legislative impacts. We've talked about this a lot. This is going to be my last time, hopefully, for a minute. Over the course of the 2021 legislative session, we tracked more than 100 bill draft requests and bills that could potentially have an impact on our department. As we mentioned, we're thankful for our 4 bills being passed into law and signing them into law. After the conclusion of the session, we determined there were an additional 36 bills that had some impact on our team. Of these 36, though, only a handful were expected to have a significant impact. The key one on this that I wanted to focus on is AB 413. It is something we've been working closely with the legislators as well as other state agencies and local agencies as well. I'm excited that we're going to have the opportunity to convene an advisory working group to study issues related to sustainable transportation funding. We will study the multimodal transportation needs of the state, recommend funding options that provide long-term sustainable funding for our transportation system, particularly the State Highway Fund, while also taking into account the needs for social and user equity and the imperative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. We will also consider the role that land use and smart growth strategies can play in reducing transportation costs, emissions, and improving system efficiency and equity. The advisory working group launches with our first meeting tomorrow and will deliver a final report to the Nevada legislature by December 2022. Next slide, please. We have been tracking federal action on infrastructure funding, and most recently, a $1.2 trillion infrastructure deal was reached on June 24th between President Biden and a group of bipartisan senators. While this still has a long way to go, we are continuing to track it. We're excited to see additional funding in that package for our program, as well as acknowledgement of other changes that need to be made, including providing grant funding for more resilient infrastructure, recognizing the need to fund more more EV infrastructure, and we're looking forward to continuing to track and monitor that. As you may know, NDOT currently faces, also part of the AB 413, an annual budgetary shortfall over $500 million. So this is important to see federal action as well. I wanted to provide a quick update on the Smith Valley earthquake that happened last week. If you're up north at our Carson Valley headquarters, I'm sure you felt it. It was significant, and it was near our Nevada-California border in Smith Valley. Carson City and Douglas County residents felt it, and I understand regions as Reno Sparks and some of our neighbors in California also felt it. We immediately mobilized to perform visual inspections of bridges and major routes within 75 miles of the epicenter. And no bridges or highways on our network were found to have visible damage relating to the earthquake. We did experience a closure to 395 in California and had to route detours through the state. But I want to thank our staff who so quickly ensured the safety of our network and our bridges. It was a really good chance for us to deploy, and I'm glad that there wasn't anything significant like we did have last summer. All right, Henderson Interchange public meeting. I'd like to let you know about a public meeting we're conducting in Henderson. It's a virtual public information meeting and in-person public meeting. I think this will be our first in-person public meeting since the start of the pandemic. The public information meeting started on July 6th and will be active through August 5th. There is a direct link on the website, and the in-person meeting will be on July 22nd from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Henderson Lifeguard Arena Center Ice Room. Interested parties can find the arena on 222 South Water Street. And again, the virtual meeting will be available through August 5th. And then just a couple more slides. I know this is a longer report than normal. The next one, public feedback. We and our Nevada safety partners are gathering public feedback to assist in the creation of formal policies regarding roadside memorials and highway segment designations. Tragically, more than 300 lives are lost on our roads each year, and roadside memorials are sometimes placed by families, friends, and others as a way to remember those whose lives were cut short. However, while roadside memorials can bring comfort to those who support their installation, they can also elicit different emotions for others. Additionally, roadside memorials can physically obstruct a roadway, create a visual distraction, or otherwise impose a significant traffic safety issue. So we, with our partners, are seeking public input on creating a formal roadside memorial policy that provides safe, consistent, and compassionate solution for all those impacted. Additionally, in the past, honorary names have infrequently been designated for segments of the state-controlled highways and roads to honor fallen law enforcement officers, elected officials, veterans, and others. But there is currently no formal and consistent policy for nominating and selecting individuals to honor in this fashion, and those nominated deserve a more uniform process that is respectful of their contributions to public service. So through the end of the month, please visit dot.nv.gov/memorials to provide your input. And the survey is also intended to capture feedback from Nevada residents and those who use Nevada highways. So we'll solicit further public comment as we develop the policy. Yeah.
Governor, may I ask a question?
You certainly may.
Have you looked at other states and seen what policies they might have? Because I feel like I've seen these memorials done a little different elsewhere.
We have, and there's no consistent policies across the states. Some, a lot are in the same space where we are, which is we let them develop, and then when we start receiving complaints or if it becomes a safety issue, we remove them. We do so with notification if we can to the family members. But it is consistent. There's not consistency across the state, so we're working to develop one that works for us here in Nevada.
Yeah, maybe somebody's got a model out there that will.
As we work through this, I think we'll go and if it gets closer to one state or another, we may go to them and see what they learned along their way. But unfortunately, there so far isn't a best practices on this one.
Thank you.
Do we have any further questions for the director? Stephen or Kate? No?
They are connected, except they're moving. They're connected.
Good morning, Governor. We're connected. We're just, we don't have any comments here.
Okay, thank you.
And then my last slide, as we do each month, I wanted to provide an update on the contribution to the workforce. Through June 2021, 3641 job years were supported through our program. On this month's agenda, there are 104. So at the end of our meeting today, if everything is approved, 3,745 job years will be supported through our program and projects that have been approved this calendar or this fiscal year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions at the conclusion of the director's report?
Yes, Governor, this is Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall. May I ask a question?
You certainly may. Go ahead.
Good morning. The first thing I want to say is, Governor, I don't know if you know, but Christina Swallow went all the way out to Fallon to look at some Highway 50 issues that they had. That was above and beyond. She did not have to do that. I think that she was on her way to a vacation, actually, although she vacations in Elko also. So, like, seriously, above and beyond. Anyway, so I wanted to thank you for that. But I understand that Senator Cortez Masto has identified an earmark for repairing and fixing that area of the road. That road earmark would not impact in any way, shape, or form the current NDOT budget or future NDOT budget, except to add money. And I was wondering if NDOT would consider sending a letter of support for that.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We have not seen the request, but we will take a look at it, and if we can, we'll write that letter.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Anything else? Okay, thank you for the report. Moving on to item number 5, consideration of approval agreements over $300,000.
Governor, we have 7 agreements for the board's consideration. I'll quickly recap them, and they can be taken individually or as one item, as per the desire of the board. The first one is with Nevada Broadcasters Association. This is an amendment to an existing agreement and will help us with our stormwater program media outreach that is required by the permit that we have with the NDEP. The original agreement was executed in June 2019. This amendment will extend 2 additional years. The Nevada Broadcasters Association covers all of our TV and radio stations in the state. The second agreement is to provide on-call services through task orders for our traffic operations division. There are 6 consultants that would be able to access those task orders. The total for all 6 agreements is $10 million. This will be as needed services to include design of traffic control systems, traffic signals, roadway lighting, striking signage, and ITS systems. The third and fourth agreements are for United Road Towing, and this is for the operation of our freeway service patrol program in Reno and in Las Vegas. If you've driven on our roads, you've seen the freeway service patrol vehicles on the side of the road helping stranded motorists and really helping to ensure that we can clear the road and get traffic moving as fast as possible. The 5th agreement is with Canyon Pipeline Construction. Members of the board, you may recall a couple of months ago we had public comment regarding a Southwest Gas project in Elko. This is a partnership with Southwest Gas. This is their contractor, Canyon Pipeline Construction. their contractor will be installing fiber optic infrastructure for us, and we're contracting directly with them, but in partnership with Southwest Gas. The sixth agreement is with Jakes and Associates. This is an amendment to help continue our external and internal partnering program. We've had much success with our external partnering with contractors, helping to reduce the probability of claims and overall costs of our projects. We're also now launching a similar program internally to ensure that we're hearing from all of our team members and constructing projects that are more readily maintainable and more resilient. And the final agreement for your consideration is with Hess Trash Company. And this is an amendment to allow continuation of our displaced persons cleanup in various locations, primarily in Washoe County. And this will extend through the end of December while we go through a full procurement for another contract.
Okay. Do we have any question on any of the 7 agreements?
Yes, Governor, it's Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall. I have a question on the last one.
Okay. Go ahead.
Cole, we chatted about this a little bit. Could you speak to some of the things that NDOT does to make sure that when you are cleaning out areas where homeless people have been, they have an opportunity to go back and get their things, and since that's all they have, and that who you work with to make sure that people's lives are respected?
Yes, that's correct. We've developed, pardon me, for the record, Cole Mortensen, Deputy Director, that is correct. We've developed a process that we utilize throughout the state, whereby we actually will go to those encampments and give them a week's notice that we will be coming in to clean up the area so they have the opportunity to gather their belongings and move on before we come in to perform the service.
And you work with the ACLU and other organizations on that?
Correct. In the development of that, as well as the local agencies, Washoe County, City of Reno, and we generally will have law enforcement help with this as well if necessary.
Thank you. That's all, Governor.
Thank you. Any further questions on any of the 7 agreements? Hearing none, do I have a motion? We'll take all 7 at one time.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion on the motion from Director Valentine? Hearing seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, contracts, agreements, and settlements.
This item is an information item for the board. Unless there's any questions, we can.
Do we have any questions on item number 6? Hearing seeing none, we'll close item number 6, move on to item number 7, consideration of approval of legislature approved fiscal year 2022 vehicle replacement and procurement of vehicles and non-rental equipment in accordance with NRS 408.389.
Members of the board, this is our annual request. In this request, there are 86 vehicles and equipment over $50,000 at $6 million. Also, there are 3 lab trailers, 1 for each district, at a rough estimate of $855,000, and additional non-rent items over $50,000 totaling $466,000 for a total of $7.5 million in vehicles and non-rental equipment over $50,000 for your consideration.
Okay, I've got a question. Do we bid these as a whole, or do we bid for suppliers and then we bid them individually if you're qualified, or how does it work in terms of getting the vehicles?
I am going to ask Felicia Denny. I believe she understands how we do our procurement. Felicia?
We'd like to know how we procure the equipment.
Or
Take
Dan?
that, Director. Thank you, Governor. For the list that you have that you're looking through, for each class of vehicle, in general, we bid them out. So the class 11s, the class 40s, they go out competitively bid individually.
Okay, so every vehicle, every grouping, how many different groupings are there?
For what you have on your list, Governor, the in attachment A, and you see the second column, MCC, classification code is what that is. So on this list, there are a handful of different classifications. We have more than that, but the vehicles that we're going to procure this time are actually, will go out. So the class 10s, your second and third line, Class 11s are a group. They'll get procured competitively per each type of group.
Okay, and can you give me an example of one of them? For example, how many bidders do we have on the Class 11?
So Class 11, we'll send that out for bids. So we'll have the Ford dealer, the Dodge dealer, the Chevy dealer, the not the dealership, but the bodybuilders will bid accordingly. So we'll have, in that classification, we'll have 3 or 4 bidders.
So
Okay.
this approval, we're asking for the approval before we go out to procurement. So we don't have the number of bidders yet at this point.
Okay, I get that part. But what I want to find out is everyone given a shot? All the companies in the state, are they included in when we send out this letter for, like, similar to what you call it, seeking a RO?
Yes, sir. Everyone, the bid is announced. We announce the bid through state purchasing, so everyone is aware of it and they have the opportunity to bid on it.
Okay, great. Okay, do we have any questions on the procurement of vehicles? Thank you for those answers. Do I have a motion on item number 7?
I'll move to approve item number 7.
Okay, we've got 2 motions from Member Squawka and Member Kalb. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 8, consideration of approval for disposal of a vacant parcel on northwest corner of IR 580 and Fairview Drive in Carson City.
Members of the board, we received a request for disposal for this parcel of land. Our surplus committee has reviewed the request. They determined we were able to surplus the land. There are 2 adjacent property owners, so the disposal would be via public auction, and we are recommending disposal via 408-533.
Okay, do we have any discussion or any questions on this one? No. Okay, do I have a motion to consider to accept the approval for the disposal of the parcel?
This is Lieutenant Governor Kate Marshall. I move to approve the disposal of the vacant parcel at northwest corner of IR 580 and Fairview Drive via public auction.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That leads us on to item number 9, public comment. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item, please step forward, identify yourself for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any of these dozen or so folks in Las Vegas wishing to make a public comment? Did I see your hand go up, Mr. Wellman?
You did.
I didn't? Okay. Anybody for public comment? Anybody in Carson City for public comment?
There's no one here for public comment, Governor.
Do we have anybody on phone for public comment? We have no public comment. We do not have an executive session, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We are adjourned. I don't take a motion on adjournment. I was told I was doing this wrong, so. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By executive